Welcome to the Leads or Shit. This is a real estate magazine podcast, and we have the owner of Real Estate Magazine here, Andrew Fogliato. He's also the founder of Just Sell Homes, which is a real estate marketing company so that realtors can focus on just selling homes. Realtors like me, my name is Taylor. I am in Edmonton, Alberta. I run Taylor Hack and Co., the real estate team at Remax River City. And we're always talking about sales and marketing because when people don't have their sales aligned with their marketing, what do they say? The leads are shit. And Andrew, it looks like our audience has some of the AI
A
bots
couple.
back here, right?
Yeah, I guess Zoom fixed whatever that was.
Yeah, we used to have an online audience that was like what we heard about rumors with Twitter, that only 5% were real
Yeah.
and the rest were bots.
Uh, we definitely had weeks where 50% of our audience was bots of the live
Totally.
audience. Yeah. Now it's not bad. Now like it varies, but we are way
Well,
more on the live people now.
if you are in the live audience, still get in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Real estate is a geographically based game of tag, and people will tag you possibly with referrals because Canadians are moving all over right now.
Leanne says she is real, she promises.
I I can prove it. We've done
Yeah,
deals.
yeah, we
She
are
is from
good.
my neighborhood. Good to see you, Leanne. Ooh,
Oh,
Long Island, New York. Andrea, good to see you.
yeah, we got Alicia who's here under Paul's name. Guess she's on Paul's Zoom account.
I like it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't expect Paul to hear. And then, oh, it's Alicia. Go
Brenda
back a
in
long time with
Burlington.
Alicia.
I like the branding potentials. Burlington
Yeah.
Brenda. And
Yeah.
Ron from Vancouver. He is not a bot.
Yeah. You know,
He
it's,
proves it by using all caps in his name.
I was joking. You know what I really want to see someone do from like a branding thing from that someone's name is I want to find a realtor with the first name Karen and I want them to be the Karen in your corner. That's like I just want someone to embrace that. Be like, no one wants to encounter a Karen, but they want them in their corner. Let me
You
be the
know what?
Karen in your corner.
I want like Cash to do that as like a spoof. He's an agent from
Yeah.
Toronto that
Yeah.
does a whole bunch of funny videos, and he should be the Karen of real estate and like asking for their manager
Yeah.
from the buyer's agent because the offer's too low.
Yeah. Oh, but I think there's a winner there of Karen in your corner. It'll work.
And
All but
Nicole and
guaranteed.
Tabor, another small town Alberta. Good to see
Nice.
my Albertan buddies.
Yeah. And then we got Ryan from Lethbridge again.
Oh
We are
yes, the
good.
Godlingtons.
Yeah.
We were watching videos of him.
Yeah.
We got a video from Miles,
Yeah. Shout out to
and
both of them because they see things on the show and then go execute it and then report back on results. And I love that.
yeah, you guys did launch process earlier, and we got
Yeah.
this video that's like over a decade old, or well, 2 decades old probably. Of Miles talking about listing presentations, and it was great. Like just to see how
Yeah.
he's engaging with people. I like things like that.
Yeah. It's fun.
And what we were talking about last week was kind of like lack of engagement. We're in, many of us are in markets where either the market is changing rapidly, like my market is twisty. Turbulence is where it's at. The middle of the market's hot, the ends are cold. It kind of changes month to month as migratory patterns are shifting. But we're hearing from other markets, and listing management is a big part of being able to hold inventory. And that's a big part of being able to make opportunities happen in real estate. So this week we're talking a little bit about getting back to people and then where to initiate price changes. To lead you in, if you are talking to your clients regularly, it's easier to talk about things like price changes. If you're not talking to them or updating them in any way, that's going to be a more difficult play. When you think about updating clients, what do you think about Andrew as far as like information that they would want to know?
So, I mean, I look at it not necessarily as the information like specifically they want to know, because I think that can change client to client. I think really what you're trying to get across to them is that you have a plan and they're in good hands, right? Like you're
Hmm.
reassuring that you are the right person to continue doing what you're doing and that they feel like you have it under control. Like you don't want them to think like, I don't know, he's just throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. Like it's like, no, okay, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this. Here's what we're looking for, then we're gonna do this. Right? Like it's and you have to set that expectation from the beginning. Um, and this is where like I think again, like we talked briefly last week, like if you're trying to buy a listing by just giving a high price, that's just setting yourself up for failure. Um, because yeah, like you might get that deal, but you'll never get one from them again, and then they will talk about you horribly for a long time.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
do you go specific information? Like when you look at that question, are you like, this is the exact thing they want to know?
Mainly, actually, I look at it like trying to give them the best opportunities to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
So we could look at it and say, well, we're just going to give them all the information. But I think that that's assigning too much to your client. You
Yeah.
should be bringing them recommendations that are based on facts.
Yeah, like
So,
I actually love the Dan Martell idea, which he uses for his employees, but I think it actually works here too, which is anytime there's a problem, you have to come to me with three solutions, but this is the recommended one. As he calls it the 131. It's one problem, three solutions, one recommendation. And he's
and I
just
use
saying
that for
yes.
my team as well.
Yeah, but I think you could do that with sellers very effectively of here's the problem. You're not getting showings, you're not getting offers. Here's the three solutions. It could be this, the it's like here's the three options going forward. Here's the one we recommend and here's why. The-
Yeah, so that's something that I'm making notes on right now to tie into my selling presentation to make sure that people can clearly see, hey, listen, here's what we're actually going to do. We're going
Yeah,
to talk about the things that you want to do to change your property so that we can solve for that. So the condition of your property is part of pricing, but also the show experience is going to be part of what helps us win offers. So let's decide everything that we're going to do so we're in the best condition that we can be, because then we're ruling out things. So we're ruling out show condition as a reason we don't get offers, and we're also ruling out maybe wanting to change the property because once we're on the market, the way the market sees us is this property for this price.
yeah,
And so if you're still thinking you might want to change the property, well, that's going to affect the way the audience sees it. And we want to present what you have in the best situation. And then on the other side is going to be helping them understand that we have a marketing setup that we've used to sell hundreds of properties.
no.
So
Results are
now
there, like you can show it.
if there's three things that sell properties, it is show experience, pricing, and marketing. Because if you don't have marketing, nobody knows about it. So who cares about the price or how well it shows?
No.
If you do have marketing, then people are going to be walking through and their experience in the house, contrasted against walking through other similarly priced properties, is going to be what gets you an offer as long as your price is compelling.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be, and I think again we've talked about collecting stats. It'd be a really good one to create in this situation of like how many impressions marketing gets, days on market, and then plot where all they sold. So here's how many impressions they got, here's how long it's been on the market, it's sold, and then just be able to plot all that out for your different listings over like a 12-month period, and then just be like, and here's where you are. So it's an like I see that a lot when people are making arguments in sports about which players are statistically the best. And they'll take like defensive efficiency and true shooting percentage. They'll plot the graph and they just put all the players on it. And then you'll see pretty clearly, like statistically, who's the best player. Right. And it usually separates out quite nicely into like, oh, hey, here's this great player because of this. There's a very similar approach you could take, which would also help, I think, in listing presentations, right? Like if you could plot out yours that way of like, here's all the different, here's the competitors. They're here, they're here, they're here, here. I'm way up here. Here's why.
So,
So,
what key performance indicators would we use on the realtor side?
so I think you'd frame it depending on the situation. Like in the listing presentation, obviously you'd want days on market and price as one. Because if you can show that, like, hey, I have not only a lower days on market and the highest price, it plots out where everyone else can be. Like you can be like, I'm not going to put their names, but I went and plotted the top 5 competitors who sold the most homes in this area. That's their dots there. Here's mine. Right? Like it's you can easily go and grab them and do that. And then going from there to the next one, it's like on the price change, if you're trying to convince them they need to do it, it's more of like how many impressions it's either gotten online or how many people have come through the house, like something like that around. Here's how many people have seen your house. Here's how many offers we've had, or here's how
Hmm.
many showings, right? So like impressions to showings or impressions to offers, something in there, and then plotting that against your existing listings or any listings you can get the data on it for.
Yep.
Of and that's where like that's for that scenario of them, like because if that's what they want to know, right, is like you're asking me to lower my price. What do you because like you got to think about what their impression is. And if you go on online forums, a lot of the impression of when realtors ask for price is they're not good at sales. They just want me to cut the price so they can get their commission quicker. Like that is
Hmm.
a true feeling that a lot of them have. And if they think at some point that you're not aligned on the incentive, then they start doubting you and questioning you. But if you can come in and be like, factually, here's the numbers, like this many people have seen yours. At this point, all these listings were sold.
Hmm. So that's something that I find is best when you make it bite-sized because I've tried a number of different reports and I find that if they're too complex, then people end up focusing on one detail of one aspect instead of seeing the whole picture. So mainly what I do is I talk about other examples like them. So listings in the marketplace, and I'm referencing off these. And then as we go through like a month into the market, what I might say is like, okay, here's a summary of the properties that sold that we would have seen buyers seeing us as competition to.
Yeah.
And then we can see things like commonalities. I also let them know about our traffic. So we've had this many showings, and based on how many matches we have on the MLS system and these other marketing indicators, we believe that we've consumed all the traffic that's going to look at us. There could be new buyers coming through, but basically the people that have been in the market already, they have voted with their dollars. So now we want to decide for this next segment of time, do we want to use the same strategy and expect a different result or change the strategy to get a result?
Yeah. And when you can put that, like you're almost making someone else, and in this case, it's the data, as the bad guy telling them to lower their price.
I
Like,
really feel as though my job is the commentator.
yeah.
This is the market. This is where you are in relation to the market. The better I help people acclimate to the market, the better they do on both the buying side and the selling side.
And you have to make sure during that that they're believing that you're impartial on that or in their corner, at the very least impartial, right? Because like back to saying, like they have to trust that your incentives are aligned with theirs. And the second that's gone, I think that's the biggest risk in a price adjustment is they start questioning it.
And that's why I like using video because when I'm going back to
Yeah.
them with the video updates, I can be like, okay, so there were 4 new listings. One of them
Yeah.
is in our building. And this one is the best of the four. So what we're hoping is that we're going to benefit from their traffic. So they're going to get traffic being a new listing. People are going to come and see the other one in the same building. So let's be watching to play off of that, or we should be stepping out to compete with them. This is what that would look like to be in first place if a buyer's choosing, like thinking of choosing them.
Yeah. So I cut out on my side. I was trying to see if I can fix it. Can you just repeat the last like 30 seconds on my end? It cut out. Like
Yeah,
someone
the
tried
30
calling
seconds
me
exactly.
ish.
I
So
don't know how
someone
to,
tried calling and it messed up so I'm
it messed up
adjusting
the
them stuff.
recording. Is that what you're telling me?
No, no, it messed up. I couldn't hear it. So I assume people here could. It literally just for me. So it did. That's why I'm just adjusting my phone. That's why I'm not looking at the screen. Um, sometimes like if some of the call screening thing, it popped up on my screen and changed the output
Yep.
because I forgot to hit do not disturb on my phone. So it's on do not disturb now. So I didn't hear your last like 30 seconds. People in the chat saying they did hear it.
The summary for you is
Yeah.
basically that we help them focus on the houses that
Yeah.
are trading around them so that we can either ask them to match something that changed in the marketplace or to look at how someone achieved the success that they wanted to with a similar house. We also want to show them that people around them change in price because that's the biggest thing for sellers is they think it's a price, not a pricing strategy. And it's our responsibility to let them know.
Yeah. And I think that like that's how you're talking about price from the beginning too, right? Like it's that thing that you and I have talked about and debated around like when's the right time to introduce the price they're going to market with before they sign, after they sign, all that stuff. And I'm firmly on they shouldn't have the price they're going to market with until after the contract signed. But that's a whole other debate we can get back into at some point. But it's like that they need to feel that way the whole time. That price is just one of the tools in your tool belt, um, because you need to make sure that that's there, or you're gonna have problems.
And what you're saying is present the evidence about what other people have done and clearly demonstrate that you're better than the other people, and then get them to sign and then say, okay, here's what the plan looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's fun.
All right. So, when we're talking about that pricing strategy, there has to be a calculation that you can do in your market to decide when you have less opportunity. So, my market is 39 average days on market right now for the total residential.
Yep.
And so, I would have to know that that is on average what a team of clients and their agent, like the time that they're taking to solve the market. So there's a few people that come to the market either super spicy or come to the market and have a good solve and hit it bang on. And those people are going to close almost at their list price or over very early in the process. Then there's going to be a group that overshoots. And then the market is either going to wait for them to be less offended about lower offers, or they're going to make a price adjustment that attracts people to them.
Yeah.
And we can see that the people that make like one adjustment are normally getting done in under 30 days. And we don't see a lot of people changing price very often. So that's the other thing is how do we decide what the frequency is? In my market, where I see that the average deal has about 10 days during the time that it's pending, and then it might have 1 or 2 day delay based on weekends to get to the MLS system and update is sold, I really think that the heartbeat of the market is about 14 days.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to my clients about how often I'm going to update them or what a data set looks like, well, the fish in the stream coming through at about 2 weeks. Now you've seen like a sample set of buyers.
And I'd be making the point like early on as well of like if you want to sell quickly, there's a price to sell it tomorrow, right? Like it's not a price you're probably going to want. And like that when you're talking to them about the price early on, it's like that's kind of the point you're getting across. Of like here's the price where we're trying to maximize how much money you're putting in your pocket. And then here's the price for selling it tomorrow. And then here's what happens if you get this wrong, right? It's like setting that up so that they can see the impact really early. Because again, it's always like, let's say they're like, listen, Taylor, like I closed on this other house. This house needs to be gone. Like I need an offer tomorrow. Yeah, if it's a $500,000 house, if you drop that to three, you're gonna have offers like crazy tomorrow. That's easy, right? It's like, what's that number for you? Like if you want a very quick sale, here's the price point you need to be in. If you want to get the highest number, it's gonna take me this long. And if you want to like shoot and try and set a new benchmark price, it's going to take this long. Like, getting into all that side of it, but the more you can set that up early on, the better you'll be set when it comes for that price change too.
I like it. And that also could be how you set up your menu. For me, I really think that the best way to care for people is to treat them like they're children. And then if they want to go deeper, let them ask. And then we can go as deep as university, right?
Yeah.
But let's start this with like a Goldilocks move. So you were mentioning Dan Martell, and he was saying 3 to 1. The reason it's 3 to 1 is because without three options, you don't have high, lower, average.
Yeah.
And so the minimum is three. The minimum is three that people should interview when they're interviewing with realtors, renovation companies, everybody. Now, then being able to show them like a method of choosing. And really common one is the Goldilocks method. Too hot, too cold, just right. Too hard, too soft, just right. And what you'll notice is a lot of people do this, and it can be used in such an effective way that sometimes it's used nefariously. Now, I argue that this is a hypothetical, and I haven't verified this. I'm totally just speculating. But many mortgage brokers have about 60 different products out there. But how many do they talk about? Do they memorize the lender guidelines to all 60? Or do they make a menu of options for most clients? Let's say maybe it's five. Well, in that five, you want somebody who's a viciously aggressive lender, the smallest that you can find that gives you pricing that you can advertise with. You also want somebody who's like logo everybody recognizes, big bank. And then what you know after what your third meeting with people is that they're going to choose whatever you put in the middle. So there's a caution there. There's a warning because sometimes the ones they put in the middle are the ones that pay them the most.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why so many people like ended up on fixed mortgages or not fixed variable. Because even if fixed was the better option at the time, variable was paying higher commission.
Hmm.
Part of the fun.
So these are some things to kind of take a look at. Leanne says it's not correct.
Hmm.
Um, she said that there's
Is that
maybe
different,
60
Alberta?
lenders and
Oh.
sometimes dozens of products. So what you're saying is that it's worse than I described because it could be like literally almost 1,000
Yeah.
products out there. So they could do more, but that's
Yeah.
what and yeah, like I have done mortgages myself, but on the broker side, I guess it is more infinite. If we
Yeah.
measured all the mortgages that Canadians get, there's 40 million of us, so could it be
Yeah.
thousands? You betcha.
Yeah.
So anyway, I stand corrected, but either way, I don't see many mortgage brokers talking about more than five or seven options.
Yeah. Well, you don't want like it's a whole thing in marketing, right? If you give people too many choices, they're not going to take any of them. Like you get like the analysis by paralysis thing. Like in a completely different realm, I have used this successfully in board games if I'm trying to win that risk. If you overwhelm the person when they're trying to decide which move to make, they might do nothing.
Hmm.
My wife is looking at me like she just realized what I used to do to her.
And that's
She
going to
just
be
figured
like,
it out.
well, that's going to be part of client management in general.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is bringing them about three options or bringing them a small amount of options, even if you have dozens or hundreds,
Yeah.
is a better move, and then leading them through so they can see, oh, too hot, too cold, just right. Do I want to price
Yeah.
under the market, over the market, at market?
Yeah. And yeah, like I typically even try to go down to like two options. Like I know like a lot of people have three, but I like to try and even narrow that down as much as I can. I want
Mhm.
not a lot of availability for them to go anywhere. Um, and I want this is the place to go. Or sometimes I'll even just do, yeah, no, the only other option is not to work with me. That's the other fun one to do. It's like this one or this one.
Yeah,
I've
this
seen
is
some
what we
agents,
do. Yeah.
yeah,
I think when it comes down to price changes, or even just packaging things, like when you get an offer, accept, decline, or counter, like there's ways to find three, and there's also like it's your job to sell the one of the three that you
yeah.
are working them on. And if they choose other ones, it could mean ending the relationship with you.
Well, it was
But when
my
you go
one of my
with
mentors used to
two,
do
I
that.
think you're going to get a threat response more often than you like.
My one of
And
my old mentors
because
in my
that's what
office,
ultimatums look like.
their two options were here's the price change paperwork, here's the cancellation paperwork. Which would you like to pick?
Okay, so that's a fork, but that is
Yeah.
design that is a pressure tactic. That's a
Yeah.
chess move to create a fork in the road that's two options. But if you were to describe that from a client experience
Oh
standpoint,
yeah, it's not great.
yeah, like
Typically
not the
they save
direction to a
that
five-star
for when
review.
they turn down, like the mentor when he was explaining to me when he was doing it is he would ask three times for a price change. If it was no every time over a certain amount of time, because he wouldn't do it like in a row, but it might be like over 3 weeks, three price change requests. The
Hmm.
fourth came with a cancellation agreement.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
can totally understand that because it makes sense to think that the way that most people list their houses with commission due at the end, we have to have some type of ability to sell the property to, and we should be spending money on marketing it. So in that case, there would be a carrying cost that eventually has to come into the calculation. But I think agents should actually be setting a timeline that's based on that.
Yeah.
And to be a little bit more transparent about, like, I could understand sending somebody a price change or a cancellation if this was a strategy that you both committed to.
Yeah.
I
Well,
could
it's like,
also understand bringing somebody a strategy that they would sign off on and say that they understand. And then in that case, you might want to apply tactics like that. But in many cases, just to lead people through, use storylines.
well, I've even seen some who have pre-signed price drops at this when they sign the listing
I've
agreement.
done that.
Yeah, post dated. They have them sign it on the spot. And it's like, well, this day it's going to this day it's going to this day it's going to this.
I've gone further than that.
Yeah.
So I believe that there are some agreements that you make that are enforceable in court, and there are some agreements that you make just to make sure everybody has an agreement, like an acknowledgement. So I've actually had couples that are going through a divorce agree on what an acceptable offer would look like
Yeah.
so that we would have more to go on at the time that we received an offer to stop them from fighting.
I have a good comment here from Ryan, which is for price changes, communication and interpretation are key, but we use two key graphs that we send each week automatically created. Since we started that, I've never had anyone question a price reduction except the I need to get this, and that's a different discussion. One is a percent of the total market you get with your price, which includes views, likes, showings, etc. The other is estimated price in real time with colors. Green probably sell, yellow maybe sell, red unlikely sell. Colors are key. Data people dig deeper. Emotional people see the red and get it. And you said that's automatically created. Where are you getting that done, Ryan? I'm sure people will ask that question. That's automatically created. What's creating that? Software programs are built into your MLS. I assume it's not built into the MLS, but might be pulling in that data. I am curious. Area real estate tech company. Interesting. So it pulls everything. And it's good, like more data like that, like very charts, and I mean I like them even if the person's not analytical, just because it just shows that you've done it. Then you appeal to the emotion. If they are more analytical, dive deeper into the charts with them. Um,
Mhm.
but that's also knowing your client.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's interesting. And similar to what we look at, like I sent out my listing updates this week. I have two price reductions coming. And that's, I didn't even, like, I literally sent a video and then the emails back are like, hey, one wanted a phone call and she's just like, okay, I think that we should change more. How much should we change?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we're talking
So
about, like
that
having a
means that I'm
graph for
landing.
that.
And
Yeah.
all I'm talking about is this came to the market, this changed in price, this sold, and this is pending.
Yeah.
Here's our showing traffic. This is what I see. This is where what our option set looks like.
Yeah, your role is essentially interpreting the data for them, but
Hmm.
it's giving them the data. Like everything
Yeah.
should be based on something other than like the only time you should really be going like gut feel is when the market is rapidly changing, right?
Well,
Because
you
like
can
there's
give
no
them
data.
examples,
Yeah.
but you also have experiences.
Yeah.
So for me, I can tell them like, hey, listen, we've brought a lot of properties to the market, and the fact that we are not getting showings means that we are further from the market than initially anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this is Craig just saying, if you've done a good job keeping your clients up to date with the data, they will really give pushback to Ryan's, but we need comment. And that's another thing to mention there. Like if you get the I won't reduce my price because I need to get this, like hopefully that's not the time you're figuring that out. You should know that before the listing is signed, that what they need to get.
Hmm.
Because that's again, it's setting expectations the right way of like, well, if you know they need to get this, here's what needs to happen. And what are the options if we can't?
That's actually a really big part of it that people don't discuss enough, which is what are you going to do next? So what you're
Yeah.
actually asking a real estate expert is, if I sell my house, can I do what I want to do next? That's almost always the situation.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't feel comfortable telling us what they want to do next because they feel as though it will be used against them.
Yeah.
But in order to like know what to contrast with, because sometimes what people tell me, I already know, like, hey, listen, I'm just going to explain this to you and you're going to realize you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And that really helps.
And I'm curious, like when you like, do you have like good relationships with like bridge lenders, things like that for bridge loans? Because like that's always an interesting one of like, especially in markets where it's sitting longer, when people have that I need to get this is
Oh, but bridge lenders don't finance properties before they're sold.
somewhat
Yeah, so you're talking about private mortgage companies. The
pretty much,
bridge,
yeah.
so you can say that this will bridge you. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
But when we talk about bridge loans, we normally talk about a specific lending product that is financing a closed contract instead of a property.
Yeah.
Where in your case, it would likely be secured against property, therefore it would be a mortgage.
Yeah.
So, and you're totally right, Craig. So, Noftel, the um, BATNA, best alternative to the negotiation at hand.
Yeah.
And I would love to, in future, do an episode on
I
negotiating
have
because
someone for that.
I love it and I live it.
I actually have two
Yes.
different people. You know, Sue's coming. Do you know Sue's? She's great. She
Who?
contributes to REM. Sue's coming.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, she's great. But she talked about that. I did a webinar with her for REM like a couple months back. She talked about BATNA and some of the other stuff around that. Really good. Get her on, and there's another who's not real estate specific negotiation expert that would come on as well, if we want to do that.
Yeah. Negotiation experts would be great.
Yeah,
I think that in the beginning, you should definitely know the terms like BATNA and ZOPA.
yeah,
Um, and then as you extrapolate further, you should understand how to play the players. But you have to understand the positions first. This is like chess and poker.
yeah. And that was a big one. Like she had a different term. Like I think it was BATNA was like the old school version, and then she had, and I could be remembering this one. I have to go back and watch the
Oh,
webinar to
please. I
remember.
hope she makes it like, because BATNA is like, I don't understand a better way to say directly what it actually is.
Yeah, well, how did she? I can't
But like,
remember off the top of my head, so I
essentially,
don't want to.
it's opportunity cost. If you don't take this road, what's the other road?
Yeah, but yeah. She it was bad, but then I feel like she had in one of the ones I did. It was like, here's the evolution of BATNA, but it might have been a different thing she was talking about.
Well, this
Anyways,
is why negotiation is based on your understanding of market stats.
yeah,
Because you have to understand who's got the advantage right on the way in so that you can possibly envision their best alternative to this negotiation at hand or opportunity cost and your own so that you know which tactic set will get to where you want. Because like
no,
I use pressure tactics on seller side when I'm in a seller market, and if I tried to use those in a buyer's market, I would
yeah.
just be lost.
Well, I mean, it's like all negotiation, right? Like you need to know where the leverage is. You need to know the motivation because that changes what you can do and what you can't do. Like it's pretty,
So, like
yeah,
getting to that part of the conversation, though, and talking to someone clearly about what they're trying to do, you can see tactics for that. So, one of the
yeah,
tactics that I hear over and over again from top agents is to suggest they keep the house. So, suggesting they keep the house is it achieves two things at once. Is one, well, I think three actually. So, it shows that you appreciate the value of what they have. That's a big one. So I
yeah,
capture this. You've done great. This is an awesome house. The second is that it takes the pressure off them thinking the only reason you're there is to put a sign on the lawn if you're actually bringing up the idea of them not selling.
yeah,
And then the third is almost everybody is selling so they can do something else. And when you take away the thought of selling, they will reveal why that doesn't get them where they want to go.
yeah.
So
Like,
if you are looking for the side door, and those are my favorite doors in sales, to open conversations that are valuable, have you ever considered keeping this house? Is the way to help to get a better grip on why they're selling.
I always found one of my best trust builders I ever did with people was when I'd be like, have you considered not selling and doing this instead? Like I had a client one time, like they built their dream home, but then after a little bit realized they didn't like the school district and they wanted to be at a different school that was better quality. They didn't have a specific school. They were like any of these schools. And what we ended I kind of pointed them to, I was like, I think based on like the type of house you want, the changes you want, it's actually going to be cheaper just to send your kids to private school and then school zone doesn't
Mm.
matter. And they started like they hadn't considered that yet. And then they ended up looking into it and being like, I think he's right. I think the private school here, based on the cost and what we'd want to do and all that, and it made more sense. They ended up sending their kids to private school. I was like,
That is a win in my mind. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
connection over transaction,
yeah,
that's a win.
yeah. You like that, you're gonna get referrals there.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about price changes and on both the marketing and the sales side of it. So,
Yeah,
what I was leading in with is that having lots of contact with your client to keep them up to date will help them understand why you are making recommendations for price changes when you are. And you should, because you can coach them on what they would change with their house before they come to the market. You can find out information like what they need to achieve for this to be a successful sale. You should be hitting those nuts and bolts in your pre-flight checklist. But then you get on the market and the market can move while you're on there. That's why you want to make sure that you talk to your client about where the evidence is, what the market's doing, what could change, and have a really good understanding that if the market changes in a reasonable amount, like if you were a good sailor, you could see the waves and you could kind of have an idea of what would be normal or what would be large. And if that's the case, you should be able to reasonably prepare somebody for the next 90 days of what's going on in your market. And if these changes take place, then it could be here.
yeah.
So the decision point that you should use to make to decide whether or not we're going to go forward should be much less than you need. Good pilots fly two mistakes high. Then it's about the sales part first of introducing the idea of a price change with enough data to make an effective price change. So they need to know why now is the right time. They need to know what will make enough of a change to actually impact their outcome. And then they need to know what to expect going past that and what's in it for them. Why would they want to do this?
And then the way that I look at it on the marketing side is, and there's two parts. So one is like the marketing, which isn't a lot to the seller to convince them, which is more sales. It's how do you then market the price change to people? And I think there's work you can do before the actual price change happens of going to the interested people and being like, hey, we're going to be reducing the price soon. Would your clients be interested at this number before we do it and get more buyers in? Right? Like
Okay,
framing
so
it,
let's
I'd word that a little differently, but that's that idea of like go to the people who've been through it and be like, the price is changing. Do you want you to bring your people back before we do?
okay, I think that's interesting because that ties into the spot between us bringing it to the client and us
Yeah.
making the price change, which is how much and when.
Yeah.
So what Andrew's talking about is that there can be some pre-action, so you need to have enough spot in your process to get to that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to change a price, should we change prices right now, this hour? Should we change it tomorrow? Should it be in the morning or the afternoon? What if tomorrow is like Monday? Should you change it on Mondays?
But that is what the data says. I would
Yeah.
actually, days on market relative to when a price change on a property would be very interesting data to have.
And the other side of it is when are you more likely to get views on that property? So if you're
Yeah.
talking about in my market, if it's an average price property, those people work during the day, they show evenings and weekends. I like changing on Thursdays and Fridays so I can be hot for the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that is, do we have enough time beforehand to do things like pre-marketing, talking to agents that showed the property, people that were interested in the property, kind of giving them like an advanced, hey, do you want to talk about this? But
Yeah.
also like a real deadline. Like, hey, this is going
Yeah.
to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Like we're doing this Thursday, we're doing an open house on the weekend. Like, even if you know that most open houses don't generate offers, the amount of like buyers and potential buyers who are like worried about open houses to generate an offer is a leverage thing you have of like, well, we're having an open house Sunday. And it's
Mm,
like they have this belief, a lot of consumers, that that's like an offer generator.
hmm.
And so like, oh, well, let's get it before let's get it before the open house because we don't want someone to go through and buy it.
Great. So that
Yeah.
means you might want to package the price change with an open house and do like a Friday
Yeah.
price change and a Saturday open house.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we
I
could
would do
also
Sunday
use
though
that
to give them the
data.
chance to come through Saturday.
And it could be. So
Yeah.
knowing your market to where you want to land it. The other thing that we want to talk about is where you're like what the price change is going to do to your audience. So in some cases, like let's say that I have a property that's around 550,000, so not very expensive overall. That market is looking in $25,000 increments. So if I'm leaving 550, I have to believe that I'm not going to actually see measurably different groups until I get to 535, which is normally the highest the 525 crowd will let their agents show them.
Yeah.
So that helps me show people what a price change is. So one, it has to be a minimum of 1%. Otherwise, the system doesn't do the system stuff like send out all the emails and rank it up on public websites. Do an actual price change, minimum 1% where
That
I'm at.
might change based on the MLS system, though.
Yep. So know your system.
Yeah.
Then the second is going to be what is a relevant price change. So in that case, if I'm talking to families that can afford 550,000 and I say, "Hey, we just made a price change and what it's going to do for you is it's going to reduce your monthly payment by $55 a month." How much do they care? That's like the rough value of $10,000.
No.
So now if your clients are going to make a price change that nobody cares about, what's going to happen next? Not a heck of a lot. So you could call people that already saw that property. In my world, we would have listing feedback and it would turn out that they did or didn't give us top 3 ratings. If they gave us top 3 ratings, then I could say like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be following up with my clients. You gave us a top 3 rating. Did your clients buy anything?" They didn't buy anything. Well, you know what? We've been on the market a little while. I think I'm going to be talking to my clients about options. Is there a price change that you guys would see compelling enough to re-engage us?
No.
I'm going to bring this information to them. So now I get to go back to my client with that information and say, "Hey, listen, we shouldn't listen to these people because look at what they said to us. In our listing feedback, they said we were priced fine. And then when I called them and said, 'Hey, you rated us in the top 3, they said you need to do a $50,000 price change to get in the game.' So not what we're talking about, but I can tell you that, if we were a top 3, it's not a very firm one."
No.
So we can get into that, and then I'm going to be looking to move them from 550 to 535 because now we're in a different audience. So if I'm making moves like that, I want to call the
No.
realtors that we already talked to first, and I'm going to confirm what I already know in most cases. Buyers are more likely to go $10,000 up to get more stuff than $10,000 down to save money, and we see it over and over again.
Yeah, and that's always the interesting one of like, what's the right amount to bring it down? And do you think it's going to sell at that price, or are you bringing it down? Because I've seen people do it. It's like been on the market a month. They drop it, hoping now to get multiples because they're dropping it low enough. And like, you got to know your market really well to pull that move.
Yep, but market
Yeah,
information is the basis to
yeah,
this like level of play.
yeah,
So I like what Ryan was saying is that manually and data is boring. So making it more about visuals and stories. Know your audience and present to them.
yeah,
So that's why most people just need it to give it to you straight. They're busy lives. Hey, what's it going to take? Well, here's the 3 option sets. I also like Ryan's comment about using another service because now it's not your information.
yeah.
I didn't
Well,
skew this or bend it. It's somebody else's information. If you don't like it, you should call them.
so I think it's a like if we're looking at like presentation of data in a way that makes it interesting, I think sports is one of the best places to look at. Because like if you look at like some of like the commentary shows and things like that, it's basically just data nerds yelling at each other.
Hmm.
But like they've packaged the data up in interesting ways, like the way they present some graphs, the way they showcase it, like it makes it compelling. But at the end of the day, you're just a numbers nerd, right? Like
Yeah.
it's you have to figure out how to
So at
pull
a
it down
million
there. So
dollars, they're probably
yeah,
going to need to change at least $50,000 to get to a new audience. At the
yeah,
lower numbers, it's 25. At the lowest numbers, it's tighter than that. But understanding where that would be is going to help you compel your clients. And then now you know the audience that you're talking to. So if you're actually
yeah,
changing audiences to a lower number, well,
yeah,
talking to the agents around you, they should sound exciting that you're moving down like that to the people that have already showed. That's how you know
yeah,
you've made enough of a price change. Then
Yeah.
the other thing is it's going to access a new audience. So if you're like at 1.05 and you go to a million, now that you're right on the button, look at that data. So as soon as you get to an even number at $100,000 increments in that $1 million range, you're going to get both the people that are looking over that number and the people that are looking under that number. This is why 101 sucks and also 999 sucks.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
if you,
That's retail pricing strategy.
yeah, and it's because I've seen it a bunch of times where someone just they add 100K to what their budget was because that perfect house came into their range. So it's
Mhm.
knowing what is that for people. Like, and I always like to know, and I think this is something that's good for you to know, is like, what is that no-brainer price for the listing of like, if you dropped it to this, everyone who showed it would put in an offer, which means you've dropped it too low. But what is
And you
that
should be able
number?
to see
And
that.
then,
At this price, we're going to
yeah,
get no showings. At this price, we're
yeah,
going to get showings, but no offers. At this price, we're going to likely get an offer, but be in several people's top three. And then
yeah,
at this price, everybody's going to be like, how can I not do this?
yeah. And at this price, you can have it gone tomorrow
Hmm.
because I'll buy
There you go.
it.
I can't even resist at this
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we've decided that we're going to make a price change, let's say that we have $1 million property that, and they're like, we need to make this change, and you bring them the right information to help them understand that a million was just a round number in their mind and they didn't really work with the data, but you're a nice person that took the listing and now they're going to move to a full 900.
Yeah.
So making that change, we're going to go back to the agents that have already showed the property and say, hey, listen, just wanted to let you know. Now, I like to put those guys in rush. I don't want to give them days to show. I'm being like, hey, we're going to do the open house on Saturday. You're getting notice on Thursday. This price change happens on Friday. You've already
I
seen the
wouldn't.
place. All you got to do is write an offer.
So I would do two things there too. So first, I would send an email. And I'd eventually call them, just so we're clear before I get into that. But the first thing I would send an email where I tell them, hey, we're doing a big price reduction on this post, which you showed your clients. Would your clients like the details? Right? Like you make the ones respond who would want that information because that immediately tells you if it actually was in their top three or close to that at all. Because if they're like, oh no, there's no price my client's interested in, you don't have to waste your time. But if you send that out to like the 20 showings, eight of them respond with, yeah, no, definitely send me the details on that.
So you're
You have
saying do a
your,
squeeze page like an email.
I
So
would
you
do
want to
just do it as a
basically
straight
get some
reply to
type
this
of a
email.
reply that says, yes, I'd want
Yeah.
to know. Or
Email or
my
text.
clients have already bought.
Yeah, this would be like a Dean Jackson 9 word email or text. Be like,
Yeah, with
hey,
agents, it's a text.
yeah, it's pretty much, but it's like, hey, we got this property. You showed your clients this address, doing a big price drop on Thursday. You want me to flip you the details for your clients? I like get you in first, right? But again, it's just like you're doing them a favor, but they still have to respond to get the info.
Yep.
And then
So
because if
that
they
you
want to
can
get
gauge interest.
because if they know they can also just wait till Thursday, that also shows that urgency, right?
Yes, I
Of
agree.
if I need that, like I want that before Thursday, you know that you have more interest from them than someone else, and that's when you pick up the phone and call them.
Hmm.
But
Okay, so now we're going to do some pre-marketing in levels. One level is going to be the level of the agent. So the agent that had interested clients. Then, if you do have like an inside audience or a newsletter, that's also something you could do to have people that are inside the game check your rules on what you can do around price changes and advanced notification there, and
right,
always make things sure things are signed before you represent anything.
yeah,
And then now it's going to go through the system. So the system is, in most cases, when you make that change that queues the system, it's going to email everyone who wants emails. So in my market, a lot of the times, like we're around 350 auto search criteria matches. The system's going to send out more emails than that because many of these people are couples with more than one email. There's going to be a fraction of that group that's set on a system called Collab Center where they could actually favorite things. So I don't know that that's a large enough sample of that overall group to give you good data in your market, but in my market, I can't really see it. And so they're all going to get emails and the system's going to be updated. The public systems are going to see that as a new deal, so they'll rank up on many websites that just have done a price change.
Yeah.
And agents that market web leads are going to get this as a hit, and you're going to get phone calls that work off that as well.
Yeah. And there's some interesting stuff. And again, even before not really change topic, but like you want to think about like what are before you 100% consider the price change is what we were talking before, like show condition. Like instead of just let's change the price today, should we take it off the market for a week or two, do a little bit of paint or little work to it, and then bring it back? Right.
Hmm.
Like I think there's that consideration for some as well.
That's
Um,
the argument as well. Like, take it off the market, leave it on the market, new listing
if
versus price change.
I think if you're taking it off, it's because you have that you're doing something, right? Like
Hmm.
I had a like again, it was like seen this before, it's anecdotal, but like it was a house that someone had painted the kitchen like funky colors. And they're like, it's just paint, they won't change it, but no one offered. Took it off the market, did the like designer gray or whatever it is, sold like a week later. But it was just like they just got rid of the funky colors instead of doing a price change. It's like sometimes those things do make a difference.
And I think that that's a good argument for doing things like a new listing.
Yeah.
But I think in many cases, a new listing is tricky. And it's tricky for a few reasons. Is one, if there is no price change or no changes to the property, are you just trying to fool people?
That's why you have like if you're taking it off to me, you have to be doing something,
Well,
right?
that's why
Like
they do things like cumulative days on market because they like people were intentionally trying to juke other people.
yeah, and that's the impression that a lot had. Like there was I forget the age of my hair, like they were advertising like, oh no, for our premium package, we take it off and relist it every day so people get new notifications. And like if they're advertising that and everyone's seeing it, now everyone's in on the game,
Yes.
right? Like
And if they see something that they interpret as an influence technique, it actually causes suspicion.
yeah. Oh, they're like, what's wrong with it? And like again, it's a delicate balance of I need to get all this information out there. And this is where like I have never seen this done, but it'd be an interesting one to do. Like, let's say you have that video you sent your clients for why they should do the price change. What if you just filmed a version of that and put it on YouTube for everybody?
Hmm.
Be like, hey, we're changing the price. Here's why. And you have data out there. Now it might be different data you present it to your clients, things like that. But it's like, hey, we're changing the price. Here's why. Because now you're hitting that. Okay, why is this price changing? Right? Because the
Hmm.
people are going to have that, like, their belief might be there's something wrong with it. Like, oh, did someone discover water damage? Did someone do this? Did someone's found something and that's why the price is coming down? That's one of the questions that running through. So if you do a video like, hey, here was the price before, here's what we did, here's why we're moving the price here.
I think that that's an important thing to empathy map. So
Mhm.
when we take a look at one, how does a price change make the seller feel?
Yeah.
So it definitely makes them feel like a loser. You can see it in their eyes. They come back to that in most cases. If they're uninformed, it's all about feelings. But
Yeah.
if they're informed, it starts to change their position a little bit. But I don't think that they ever see it as a win.
No.
So they would be like, okay, this is a path to get what I want. And in that case, sometimes it's easier to be where they want to be. So to say, hey, listen, good news, our market's moving downward. The place you want to buy is getting cheaper. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the other thing is, how does this make buyers feel? So, how do buyers view a price change?
Stale. And then they might think they can now get even more off of it, right? Like they're now that you get the deal hunters,
Okay, so
the people who
sellers
want to put
feel
pressure.
vulnerable and buyers see them as being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think kind of it depends on like if you are
Yeah.
changing
There's
inside the
variables
same
here.
audience,
Yeah.
the reaction that you get from people that have seen you before is, oh, yeah, they couldn't find a buyer. I knew that that was overpriced, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then if you make a price change that's enough to change the audience, that becomes a new listing to someone else. They don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they just lowered the price. Now this can be ours. And if it looks better than the other things at that price range, I don't think that they look at it that way.
And that's where you have to know what price point you're changing it into. Is it fully going to be bringing in the new set, or is it still going to be playing in the same pool?
Oh, close better price changes.
Yeah.
Like if you did a review of all the price changes you've ever closed on listings and you have a normal number, then count how many price changes you have to do per listing.
Yeah.
Because like if you always have to do two and you were able to change your ability or like change your approach, so you only did one and just covered the distance in one price change, you could even tell people about that, like Andrew was suggesting with the market feedback. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, you know what? I just wanted to be friendly. For years and years, I was doing these $10,000 price changes just to kind of get the basic bottom of that 1%. And now, what I learned by doing an analysis of over 100 listings is that we should have been moving 25 grand every time.
No. And here's why. You always need that and here's why part. And
Hmm.
that's basically for like everything trust-based marketing is like anything you present to anybody, you need that and why. Here's why and why. And this is because that style of things. They need to see how you're thinking about it so that they can have confidence in it.
Yeah, and if you and on the stuff that you do all the time, trying to like make very um like design powerful moments is really key because this is something you're going to do hundreds of times and they're going to experience once per client if you're doing this well.
No,
So put that amount of effort in it, sharpen something that you could deliver 100 times and expect it to get deals like to get that change made 96% of the time, 96 out of 100 times. Now you have something that you can scale and use. But if you run into situations that you're explaining that you haven't seen before, look for templates like the format system, where you're like, okay, what happened? Why does it matter to you? And now, like, what are we going to do? So, what is it? What, when, no, what, why, who now?
no.
Who
I
does
think
it
that's
affect?
it.
Maybe
That's
is
right
the
over.
second one. What, who, how now? That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, what happened? The market moved. Who does it affect? Us, because showings have moved down. We've been on the market long enough to see.
Well, it could have also impacted the buyer's ability to buy, right? Like when there's announcement of changes in rates and things like that, that could also be lowering what a buyer qualify, even if it's more just for like the insured mortgage thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like those types of impacts could be the change. Be like, hey, this change, or it's like Andy C. when you're talking about him, he's like, Facebook stock went up, Facebook stock went down, got to change.
Yep. We know how many buyers that will affect in our marketplace if it's very straightforward. If not, you don't have
No,
to go with bleeding edge leading indicators. Like, hey,
no,
we know that buyers have been affected by this announcement.
yeah,
Instead, you could say the relationships of buyers and sellers have changed. We can either see it's a supply thing or see it's a demand thing, but that's all you really need to explain.
no,
Or you can give examples. These three listings sold, which shows the buyers that are buying properties like this are at this price point. We're at this price point. Until those two things match, it's unlikely we're going to come to an agreement.
yeah. And I think you want to pull the info that's like closest to the seller. So like if a neighbor sold, that's the easiest one, right? Like if it's the same model, same neighborhood, sold in less time at a different price, be like, that's a very easy thing to show them. If
Man, you
you're
got
in
to
a
be conscious of that either way, though.
oh
Houses that are
yeah,
nothing like your client, if they are in line of sight, are things you should be talking about. Hey,
yeah,
I saw that one sold for 650. Really? Did you notice it's twice the size of your house?
yeah, but I have a better backyard. My house is special.
Yeah. North facing backyard.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's the
north facing
best.
backyard.
Yeah.
$200,000 in renovations.
But look at those beautiful power lines behind me.
They don't do anything. Neither of my kids have gills.
Yet. No, I had a listing one time. We were working with a client on it, and literally that was the biggest feedback on every showing they were getting is people didn't want to buy because it was on that power corridor. I'm like, there's nothing behind you though. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, it's so I always find that that's the weirdest thing about listing feedback is you got to turn it inside out to be able to see it. So they'll say
Yeah,
this house has power lines. That's not what they're saying. We all know it has power lines. Anybody who's been to that neighborhood knows it has power lines. We get it.
yeah,
What they're
yeah,
saying is other properties in this price range that I saw today, same thing, no power lines.
yeah,
That's what they're telling you. You're overpriced. You're not priced for power lines.
exactly. It's part of, and that's understanding what they're saying because a lot of people just take feedback and run with it
Yeah, they
too
say this
literally.
house is small. Then my sellers are like, "Oh, my house isn't small. We got like 7 kids." And it's like,
Yeah,
no,
it's fine.
small compared to what they saw today for the same money. Different.
Yeah. And that is a tough thing is getting sellers to not think of their house as special while also not shitting on their house.
Yeah. Your house isn't
The
special. That
yeah.
doesn't go well.
No.
Okay,
Neither
we're
are you.
going to the after show. If you're catching this
Yeah.
on YouTube, you can join the Zoom. Hit Real Estate Magazine's website, realestatemagazine.ca. You can find the leads or shit. You can come in and be part of our audience, just like well, Ryan was a big contributor this week. Ryan Masick, Mrachek, and
Hostile.
good to see everybody we normally see. Those people here can come to the after show, but you on YouTube have to come next time.
See you guys next week.